Yesterday, we interviewed my former economics professor, Richard Wolff. And yesterday, I also learned about professorwatchlist.org, which is a website that lists nearly 200 professors, which this right wing site says represent a threat to academic freedom and are trying to advance a radical agenda in lecture halls. And two of the professors listed are professors of mine, former professors of mine. Number one is, of course, Richard Wolff. He most recently taught at UMass in 2008 and since retired from UMass and is a visiting professor at the New School in New York City. Professor of mine, guest on the show. And also listed on Professor Watch List is Sut Jolly, the founder and executive director of the Media Education Foundation, where I interned when I was, I think, a junior at UMass Amherst. Also a communications professor at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, who I had for 3 or 4 classes, and someone I know personally, and someone who has also been on the show before. They are listed along with about 198 other professors at professorwatchlist.org. This was developed by Turning Point USA, which is an organization. It's always funny to tell you what they claim they do. They say that they promote the principles of free markets and limited government on college campuses and at high schools. So let's break this down step by step. I didn't ask Professor Wolff about this yesterday because I didn't know about it. I saw this afterwards. He was interviewed about it, and he said he's not fazed by being put on the list and that it's just a misunderstanding of what the job of our educational system is meant to be. Sut Jolly says that the explanation of why Sut Jolly is on the list says that he is infamous for his politically loaded Twitter account. And this is super weird because I found 2 Twitter accounts for Sut Jolly. One is just called Sut Jolly, and the other one is called Sut Jolly UMass. One has no posts since 2014, and the other has no posts since June. If you're going to critique someone, Pat, for a radically loaded Twitter account, you would hope to see that they've posted at least more than once in the last 5 months, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, these sort of blacklists, too, are kind of explaining why sales of the book 1984 have been so up in the past few years, too.
No doubt about it. And yeah, I mean, as far as Sut is concerned, Sut is very anti-Israeli. I've never agreed with him on that issue. But to say that he is a radical that needs to be watched, I don't know. I don't know about that. It seems like a bit much. And UMass spokesman Ed Blagazewski, who I also know from my time at UMass, put out a statement saying that that University of Massachusetts expresses support for freedom of speech and continued debate in the classrooms from various perspectives. I think that's the right approach that schools should take to this, right?
Well, how do we know that you're not just a product of their radicalism, right? I mean, we had Richard Wolff on the show, as you said, yesterday. And I mean, I'm still trying to recover from the indoctrination. It was tough.
I would say that the fact that I disagree with Sut about a lot of what he teaches in the classes, and the fact that even though I find the Marxist analysis that Richard Wolff does of society fascinating and valuable, I still consider myself a capitalist who is into democratic socialism, I think are evidence that I was not overwhelmed by the propaganda.
If anything, you were just taught to think critically, which is important out of college.
I think that that's exactly right. And the Professor Watchlist website says they're going to continue to fight for free speech and the right for professors to say what they want, but that everybody, students, parents, alumni, needs to know incidents and names of professors that are advancing radical agendas. I really don't see how Richard Wolff is radical. I mean, unless you feel genuinely threatened by the fact that he's doing a critique of capitalist economics through a Marxist lens. Yes, that's what he's doing. Now, if you don't feel threatened by that, I don't know why you would call it radical. If you don't think there's anything there, then there's no reason to see someone who represents such a tiny percentage of economists who actually takes the time to do a serious analysis from an alternative to capitalism. You would only see that as radical if you actually see it as a threat. And I bet there are radical professors on this list. We've talked about radical professors before. The question is, number one, if the list isn't accurate, is it of any value? Number two, because much of this is subjective, could the list possibly be accurate? And number three, is this the type of list that makes sense to have, or does this reek of a sort of McCarthyism of sorts? And I think that it does. Whether or not there are individual radicals on this list, radicalism is mostly in the eye of the beholder. And when we create such a list, what are we suggesting should happen to these professors? Because they say, Pat, we support professors doing what they want, but people should be aware about radical agendas. Well, they should be aware of it to what end? In order to do what to these professors? And I don't know what the answer is.
It also seems like the term that they use, radical, seems to imply that there's some sort of violence that they're encouraging too, which is, of course, not the case.
That's always an undertone. When you accuse of radicalism, it's always a question of what do you really mean by that? Are you talking about ideas, or are you saying these are ideas that could move into real world action, or what exactly are you saying? Anyway, Richard Wolff and Sut Jolly, genuinely nice people that I really like, and fascinating that they both are on this list. Warby Parker is offering a free 5-day home try-on to give you the opportunity to check out their glasses. I personally wear Warby Parker glasses when I'm not wearing my contact lenses, and I also started with one of these free at-home try-ons of 5 pairs of glasses. You can get your free home try-on and support the David Pakman Show at warbyparkertrial.com/TDPS. I don't really like going into glasses stores and trying on glasses while the salesperson sort of hovers over me, and I like more than 30 seconds to actually figure out whether I like the glasses. So with the Warby Parker home try-on, I was able to pick 5 pairs that I liked, put them on in the comfort of my own home, pick the one I like the most, and then Warby Parker put my prescription lenses in there for me. A lot of people don't know that the eyeglass industry is controlled by just a few big corporations that keep prices very high, like $300 for prescription glasses high, which is just insane. Warby Parker glasses start at $95. That's what mine cost. And for every pair of glasses sold, Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. You can try 5 pairs and see what you like. Check out the at-home trial and support our show by going to warbyparker.com/TDPS. It costs nothing.